Hi folks, welcome to Lewis on Film. I'm Lewis and this is the official episode 1, and today we're going to look at the top 10 films of 2020, and this of course is my personal choice for top 10 films of 2020. I'm interested to know what you think. I'm also interested to hear what your top 10 films are, so please do let me know. So then, let's dive straight in. Number 10 in my top 10 of 2020.
Will rain hell down from on high.
Greyhound. Tom Hanks leads this superbly edited and thrilling sea battle during World War II that unfortunately didn't get a cinema release. Tom Hanks was particularly disappointed that that didn't happen, but it was released on Apple Plus, which is where you can watch it still. So regarding the film itself, Tom Hanks is the one who writes and stars in this film as Captain Krause. He's a newly promoted US Navy captain tasked with escorting an Allied convoy safely over the North Atlantic Ocean. And the reason he needs to do this is because air support is 3 days away. All the action within this film takes place on board the ship with the exception of one scene, and it really does add the tension because it puts us in his situation. The audience are really there with him, like they understand the pressure that's mounting on him.
In 48 hours, we've lost 7 ships and 50 souls.
The only exception to being on board the ship is a scene where we see his partner, played by Elizabeth Shue, come to see him before his deployment. Make no mistake about this one, this is Tom Hanks' show. His calmness and his demeanour lends itself absolutely beautifully to this film as the captain, and he has to be the calm one and make the calm decisions in the room. And Tom Hanks is that guy, he really is, and it blends perfectly to that.
What you did yesterday got us to today.
It's not enough. Not nearly enough.
No messing here, I simply love this one. It was 90 minutes. I mean, there aren't many war films out there that are 90 minutes in length, but this one is the perfect length. Its compactness and its directness is absolutely fine because you don't need any more than that. You know it's a war movie, and they use the audience's prior knowledge beautifully. Simple as that, and that's great. That's all you need, and it was an easy choice to include that in my top 10.
Here they come.
Moving swiftly on to number 9. Now this one's probably one that I never would have seen in the cinema unless I went to an independent cinema, because it is a very low budget indie film called Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
I didn't see you at school today. I went to the doctor. What's wrong? Girl problems?
In its simplest form, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always is a story about a teenage girl who, along with her cousin, travels to New York from Pennsylvania in the hopes of getting an abortion because in Pennsylvania abortions are illegal. In terms of story, the film sounds simple, and it is. There really isn't anything more to it than that, but there is an underlying sense of dread that constantly lingers this film. Given that there isn't much of a story here, it means the characters need to be your central focus. And we have a debut performance from Sydney Flanagan, which is exceptionally mature for someone so young. It really is a very fine performance, especially given that it's her debut film as well.
I know this is hard.
The film is lacking any kind of direct conflict, but it's been replaced by inner conflict, which is something again that Miss Flanagan does so well, which is part of the reason why I enjoyed it and why I was absorbed into it so much.
This is the most magical sound you will ever hear.
The simple goal here is to educate, and it's something that the team behind this film do incredibly well. It's part of the reason why I love film is because they're so diverse. They're not all blockbusters, they're not all action, they're not all comedy. Sometimes you really do get a really powerful educational drama, and this is exactly one of them. And it was an easy choice to put in my top 10. Moving on to number 8. Number 8 is The Trial of the Chicago 7.
We want to underscore again that we're coming to Chicago peacefully, but whether we're given permits or not, we're coming.
We're going to Chicago to protest the Vietnam War.
And there's no place to be right now but in it.
Now, I wasn't at all familiar with this story, but of course I wasn't. You know, I'm not American, I wasn't around at the time. History hasn't taught it me, ever. But I'm really glad that Aaron Sorkin was the one to bring this script to life, because it really is a fantastic watch.
At the defense table.
Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Dave Dellinger, Rennie Davis, Lee Weiner, John Freund, Tom Hayden, and Bobby Seale.
These defendants had a plan, and the plan was to incite a riot.
The story is that a group of protesters gathered in Chicago for a peaceful protest against the Vietnam War in 1968, which unfortunately turned violent, and the 7 men who organised the protest are put on trial for inciting a riot. Through flashback, we see parts of the riot, but the main film details the 150 plus days in the courtroom. Aaron Sorkin's scripts are often worth a second watch at least, but this one's worth several more too, with its gripping courtroom scenes and detailed account of the facts. Everyone, and it is an all-star cast, but everyone turns in a stellar performance here, and I think the Oscars are going to be all over some of these performances, and they'll be definitely over Aaron Sorkin's script.
You're the first to suggest that I have discriminated against a black man.
Then let the record show that I'm the second.
But why did I love it so much? Well, plain and simple, again, it was an educational watch. It was something that I wasn't familiar with, but that didn't stop it from being educational. But not just educational, it was a fun and thrilling watch, which is the best way to educate somebody. If you can capture their interest and you can deliver it in a thrilling way, do that. And Aaron Sorkin does it perfectly. And that's why it's an amazing film, because it's a true story that doesn't just trail off on a tangent. If you look it up afterwards, you'll understand that it's actually pretty close to the real facts of the case. And that's a powerful film for me.
We're giving them exactly what they want, a stage and an audience.
Yeah, you really think there's going to be a big audience?
This is what revolution looks like, real revolution.
We may have to hurt somebody's feelings.
It's also incredibly rewatchable, and I will be seeing it again. As I previously mentioned, with a lot of Aaron Sorkin films, you can just watch them again and again. But this one is truly electric cinema, and it's worth your time. Moving on then to number 7. It is last year's Best Picture winner, Parasite.
뭐야, 소독해? 상금 받아.
나도 봐. 공짜로 집안에 소독도 하고.
Parasite follows a Korean family of 4. They're each unemployed but work together to generate income, frequently by shady means. But when their son gets a job as an English teacher for a wealthy family, he slowly finds a way to get the rest of his kin a job in the household. Unbeknownst to them, the household holds one hell of a secret.
Is it okay with you?
After a very long wait, the UK finally got to see this film in February, just a few days before its historic Oscar win.
Parasite.
Bong Joon-ho's masterpiece was fully worth the praise and fully worth the wait, and did deserve its Oscar win. Bong Joon-ho created an incredibly relevant story that the world needed to see at the time, and still needs to see right now given everything that's happened. But it is a very simple premise, but it's a very clever premise, and it's executed to perfection. So why isn't this one slightly higher up the list, given all the praise I'm heaping on it? Well, simple enough, it just took a bit too long to connect with me emotionally. So as much as the first hour did everything right in setting up an excellent second hour, it was this unpredictable second half where the film really came to life, bent genres, twisted expectations, and really became engaging. Okay, so number 6, a very recent release, and one that you may have missed, but I assure you it's worth going back and finding. Number 6 is Let Him Go.
You're going with me or without me?
Now, I'm a sucker for westerns anyway, but this contemporary western set in the 60s is one that really caught me off guard. Kevin Costner and Diane Lane star in this film, which sees their son die, leaving behind a widow and his infant son. But when the wife remarries, her new husband takes them away from the hometown without letting the grandparents know, so they go in search of their only living relative, their grandson.
We came to see our grandson.
My boy doesn't have to answer to you.
And we don't have to answer to you.
Whoa.
So this film takes a lot of the old methods. You know, there isn't an awful lot of action in it, but it's based on great performances, a very stoic performance from Kevin Costner, one that he's delivered many, many times over the years. But The great performance here comes from Diane Lane. She really does turn in an exceptional piece of work as the character who drives the story forward as well. Not to be outdone by her though, Leslie Manville, who plays the matriarch of the rival family, she's the one who really sets the tone and really delivers a tense performance.
You hit your wife? Like...
She's the one who perfectly delivers the sense of danger to the film, and she adds that value to it all the way through to the end. It's a heart-wrenching tale that slowly but effectively takes time to wander the genres of drama, psychological thriller before a terrific Western showdown. It is a very good watch. If you're a Western fan, I think you'll love it. I am, and I did. Moving on then, number 5. It's The Assistant.
Welcome. Have a seat. Whatever's going on, you can tell me. That's what I'm here for.
In a similar way, there's not an awful lot happens in Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. Not an awful lot happens here either, which is both the point and the scary thing about it. It's a hypnotic detail in the life of an assistant to a powerful film producer who's taken advantage of his female staff.
First one in, last one out.
Good night.
You're smart. You have to be smart. It's a tough job, but I can see that you've got what it takes.
Without ever saying it directly, the film perfectly juggles the moral dilemma versus personal stakes.
Maybe you can put in a good word for you.
No, he'll hire externally. Listen, his schedule has shifted. Does 7 p.m. work?
Still at the hotel, or...?
Yes. What?
This is turkey. I said chicken.
This film is a hypnotic and searing look, and I loved every single second of it. I love films like this. The silence speaks volumes as we begin to realise that not only do people not care about what's going on, but they actually try and cover it up. And as Jane faces the moral dilemma of wondering whether or not she's actually doing the same thing, it really does become a powerful film, which is all set over the course of one day. And again, it's never directly referenced, but for those who listen properly and pay attention properly, it's a very engaging film indeed, and it's got a strong message that needs to be heard.
What can we do?
Do about what?
Number 4, The Invisible Man.
He said that wherever I went, he would find me, walk right up to me, and I wouldn't be able to see him.
Adrian is dead.
He's not dead.
It adds no right whatsoever to be as good as it was, but they took a very old sci-fi tale in the Invisible Man story and they ran with it for the 21st century absolutely perfectly. Yes, the film is entertaining, it is, but it's also a very powerful film about domestic abuse, and the underlying themes of it just work here. It's led amazingly by Elizabeth Moss, who is still my pick to land an Oscar nod for this one. But as well as all that, getting the obvious out of the way, the film is called The Invisible Man. It wouldn't be fun if there wasn't an invisible man, and it doesn't hide the fact that there is an invisible man. It's just where and when he'll strike that makes it so good, but equally, it's the reason he comes and strikes her at all that makes it truly exceptional. The film requires very little exposition because Elizabeth Moss and director Lee Wanell do their job so well. Once they have the psychological presence of fear running through the actress, all they need to do is play with that tension, the moments of silence and the space around her, and they do that to absolute perfection, and it's a real treat. It's one of my favourite films of the year. It was never not in my top 10. Moving up the list again, number 3. This is the very recent release. In the UK it's going to be released in February, Promising Young Woman.
Good God almighty. You know, they put themselves in danger, girls like that.
The film follows Cassie, played by Carey Mulligan, who on the surface, she's a medical school dropout working in a coffee shop and living at home. Under the surface, she leads a fascinating double life by pretending to be drunk in order to teach men preying on vulnerable young girls a lesson.
Hey, I said, what are you doing?
Again, a strong female lead performance influenced by the #MeToo movement. This one's a blunt instrument that simply beats the message into you whether you want it or not. and trust me when I tell you that it is worthwhile. It tricks you into something entertaining before delivering something powerful. I promise you, come February, you'll love this one. I don't want to spoil too much about this one, but it's got a fantastic soundtrack and Carey Mulligan is exceptional. Trust me when I tell you that this is going to be the talked about film of the year. This year. Number 2, the brilliance of Disney and Pixar. It is Onward.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder and magic. But times change.
I'm a mighty warrior!
Morning, Mom! Hey, birthday boy!
By the laws of yore, I must dub thee a man today. Kneel before me.
That's okay.
I have a gift from your dad.
2 elf brothers bequeath a gift from their father who died years earlier, a magical staff, a phoenix gem, and a spell that will bring him back for one day. But due to their lack of knowledge, the spell goes awry and the brothers embark on a quest to find another phoenix gem before the 24 hours are up.
If it's adventure you seek, you've come to the right tavern.
Oh no.
So this was the first of 2 Pixar films released this year, the other being Soul. Soul, as good as it is, didn't capture me as much as this one. This one has everything I absolutely love. It has fantasy, it has adventure, it has humour, it has action, all wrapped up in a neat little bow for you to enjoy.
Growth spell! We grow the can, and then the gas inside will grow with it. Elbows up.
I'm trying to focus here.
Focus.
It worked! The can is huge! And the van is huge! And you're... Oh no.
As I've said, it's funny, it's exciting, and it's one that you want to watch again and again. And why wouldn't you want that in your top 10? So here we are, number 1. Not an easy choice this year, but this one was the one that stuck with me the most throughout the year. And here it is. It's Queen and Slim.
Can I ask you something? What took you so long to respond to me? I sent you a very well-crafted message 3 weeks ago. And today, out of the blue, you hit me up asking if you want to grab dinner. What changed?
I didn't feel like being alone. Not tonight.
So you turned to Tinder.
Released in January, which seems so long ago now, but I will never forget how I felt when I got to the end of Queen and Slim. The film follows a young couple on their first date, which is spoiled when a policeman pulls them over and threatens to shoot them if they don't cooperate, even though they have been doing so. In self-defense, the policeman is killed, and knowing how racist the system can be, the lady suggests that they go on the run. From the very beginning, when the audience first meets our protagonists, we start to learn things, and we're drawn into an exceptionally well-directed, beautifully paced and engaging drama that's just about as fine a road movie as you are ever likely to find.
All we can do is go forward. There is nothing back there for us. Let's just keep going.
The film was made and released just before the George Floyd killing, which at the time of release only emphasised how important it was even more. It's a wonderful road movie with a gripping undertone throughout, as our protagonists are on the run and could be caught at any moment, and that's just the surface. There's no limit to the amount of praise I can heap on this film. I loved it completely. I laughed, I cried, I was completely devastated by its ending, and it was such a powerful watch that I only wanted to watch it again, which I did, and I own a copy now, and I'll continue to watch it for many, many years. The film is not without its faults by any means, but where it lacks in originality, it more than makes up for in execution. It's a very important subject that deserves to be seen and needs to be seen. So if you haven't seen it, go on, get out of here.
Thank you for bringing us this far. Thank you for this journey.
Police!
No matter how it ends. What do you want?
I want to ride or die.
So there they are, my top 10. That's it for me for now. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope if you haven't seen them that you'll go and check them out. And as I've said, please do let me know what your top 10 films of last year were too. Next time, we're going to do some actual reviews. So I'll see you soon.